This episode of Storytellers is brought to you by these fine companies.
I'm Scotty Cannon. You're watching Drag Racing Storytellers at Competition Plus TV. I got the rules throwed on me one time by Hayne Dominic. It was Hayne. I asked for it and I got it. I'll never do that again in my life. We were in Epping, New Hampshire. First round, I'd made an intercooler. It wasn't, you could run, there wasn't no rules that said you couldn't run intercoolers. So I took some copper tubing, run it through the top of my, all inside my injector, all in the top. All I could. 1/4 inch tubing, then exhausted it. And had a bottle in my car of CO2, but all I had here was nitrous bottles where I used to run nitrous. So I had them all filled with CO2. So I took the tube out of them, turned them upside down. So all the CO2 would come out. So to make that injector an intercooler, you had to engage and send tube like air conditioner. I know everybody's seen air conditioning ice up. So the first time I tested it was I was running Ronnie socks at a match race. And what I would do is I'd just flip a switch, and when it would blow, you gotta understand it's a 30-pound bottle. And I only had like 2 or 3 of them. A big 30-pound bottle, and it would exhaust. When it come out, it would throw, you know how nitrous throws out. CO2 and nitrous has the same characteristics when it goes into the atmosphere. It has a big old fog. Here we are in Epping, New Hampshire. It's about 65 or 70 degrees. And I done run it and it worked. So the only way it would work was you had the timing had to be right. So I did my burnout. And we tested it, the race against Ronnie. And Ronnie told me, he said, they'll throw you so far out of the racetrack you'll never get to race again if you try to get by with this. And I said, well, it don't say nothing about intercoolers. Well, I got a phone call on Monday. And me and Ronnie was tied. He was like a hero to me. And he said, you can't run no intercoolers. I said, well, what is an intercooler? Like the funny car about it. He said, you can't have nothing with ice or a coolant in it. What's considered a coolant? Oh, well, nobody couldn't answer that. So when I show up, naturally, my baker, everybody's on my car. All right, what's in the bottle? I said, well, I'm going to show you it don't go in the motor, it goes out. I showed him exactly where the tube went in. It's one copper line. Where it went in, where it was just all wrapped all inside this whole big injector, and then where it come out. It's a 1/4 inch pipe. Now these big old fogs that you see come out of these regular nitrous cars are little 1/8 inch lines, and they go high as a house. Well, this 30-pound bottle, it went like high as a transfer truck. And what I would do is when I started my burnout, we had levers in, I'd reach over, pull it high, and I'd just flip the switch up, and that's just turned the solenoid on, and it started running the CO2, dumping that bottle through these tubes, and it's going over the top of the car.
Well, this edition of Drag Review is being brought to you from the home of Pro Mod controversy, Scotty Cannon's OnSat Magazine Corvette pit area. Even though his fellow racers are kind of laid off of Scotty since the beginning of the season, they're back on his back with a vengeance here at the 1993 North American Nationals, where Cannon decided to debut a brand new intercooler on his supercharged big block Chevy engine. Now, intercoolers are no big deal in any other form of racing, especially on engines using turbochargers, but it's kind of unusual on a supercharged application. Cannon decided to inject CO2, carbon dioxide, underneath the fuel injector hat and above the supercharger to cool the air-fuel mixture going into the blower. It cooled it a bunch, down to 120 degrees below zero. But a lot of racers weren't quite so sure that that was CO2 that Scotty Cannon was using. They were afraid that it was nitrous oxide or something else.
What I was basically doing is kind of telling everybody how it worked as an intercooler, because you couldn't run an intercooler, and when I got there, you could run it. Well, because it's not an intercooler. Basically, all it does is just frost up these tubes inside the injector. Well, what it does, and then they sit there, then they start make the car start run rough, because it's actually, they start condensing like a condenser in a car or something, and it starts blubbering and acting stupid, and then I have to give it a little bit of throttle, and the more throttle you give it, the more it wants to start acting stupid, and it'll almost start sounding like it's got nitro in it, because it's a skipping and a popping and a banging and a booming, and it's and I'm already outrunning everybody. My car's already faster, and Ronnie was there too, and like I said, this match raced in the week before, and I'm backing up, and boys, they all call him Snuff Dipper. Everybody called him my crew chief, but me and him worked on the car together. He just done the clutch, and he was my man. He was with me 10 years and never left. And we was with me in a funny car too. He said, I'll never forget it, he said, I don't know if they're going to let you make this run or not, he said, but you got an audience like you've never seen. He said, if you don't slow down backing up, you're going to run over Scott Shafroff, Gene Fulton, Hayne Dominic, I don't know. They won't even get out of the way. I said, make them move. And I just reached over there and got another gear, and made it, so we'd back up even faster. They got on out of the way. So when I backed up past the tree and stopped, and boys is hollering, they cussing, they mad. Boys said, look out your window. And I won't never forget, I looked at our Shafroff's head. He's looking in the car. I looked, and there's people right in the front of my fenders. I'm getting ready to stage in my car. I'm like, what are they doing? He said, I don't know. And boys is pulling me up. They in his way, I promise you. They're in his way. And I'm like, he said, there ain't nobody saying nothing. I said, I need to go. I said, it's starting to condense. I said, the intercooler ain't gonna be no good. I got to go. He said, get in there and go. And I put the first bulb on whoever I was qualifying, and that joker got about 1,000 foot, and boom, throwed the rods out of it, caught on fire. So make a long story short, I used it 3 runs, set the ET record with the blame thing, didn't keep the rods in at 1,200 foot, and spent Saturday night all night building one motor to put that together. And we could hear the birds chirping. I promise you. And we cranked the car up. And you can't crank a car up there after night. We cranked the car up and cut it right back off. It's still on jack stand. All the lights is off, went in the motor home. Then here comes the police riding by, the security. So nobody says anything, no harm, no foul. Pull in the staging lanes the next morning. Bottles at the trailer. Different injector on it. Bill Barrett sitting over there. He says, boy, what's wrong with you? I said, if I ever get that baby to the other end, he said, you gonna kill yourself? He said, that thing make that much difference? I said, you just don't know. He said, do you know how good the air is up here? I said, best I ever been in. He said, well, why are you trying something like that up here? You don't need it. I said, well, that's why I slept back at the trailer. He said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, look, I got a blank in the main. I turn the high speed around backwards. I'm going to run it on the main and just go home. He says, that might be a good idea before you get yourself hurt. I done used everybody's fire bottles, all the funny car fire bottles. I'd bought all Von Smiths. Everybody had just one set. They wasn't none. I get, maybe somebody else had some, but everybody I asked had, they let me use them. We didn't carry spare fire bottles for a pro mod car. They had them one, that went for 2. It's kind of Mickey Mouse, really. They ain't use nice ones now that really work. If we'd had bad fires back then, we'd have been in trouble. So I pulled up first stage, and naturally I was qualified good. No mile an hour. None. Done throw the rods out of all 4 of my motors. I ain't got a motor left, Daddy-O. We done patched one up. Right down the racetrack. Both fins of the world record. Boy says, they ain't gonna like this. He says, is the rod still in it? I said, I didn't rattle. He said, ain't a puff of smoke nowhere. He said, I like 2/10 quicker than anybody'd ever been. 7 mile an hour, some stuff stupid. He said, "You in trouble, brother. You in some trouble." He said, "They are raising Cain on the starting line." So I get back to the pits, and Baker didn't walk over and said, "Where's it at?" And I said, "Where's what at? Why did it run so good, didn't it blow up?" He said, "You just blowed them motors up." I don't know if it was Baker or if it was Haynes. He said, you just blew your motors up and you just go out there and you ain't hurt nothing and you run that fast?" I said, "No, I got my motors fixed and I just took that off because it's tearing my motors up and I just figured it wouldn't run that fast and I guess I stumbled up on something." So I won the race. I set the record 3 times every time I run. So, I mean, I done run that fast when I slow down. I need the money bad. I got 4 broke motors. I had to win. So we got done. I'll never forget it. We down on the scales, and my car was already about 30 heavy. And old Hank Dominic said, "I'll never forget it till I die." He said, "How much you think 50 pounds slow your car down?" "I don't know. I don't really care." "You sure?" And you know, Hank was a real nice, polite guy. And I was happy I won. I had a bunch of tore up junk now. And I said, "I don't know why I get 50 pounds. He said, "Yeah, at least." I said, "Won't you double it?" He said, "That's more like what I was thinking." And I said, "You'd have to be stupid to put 100 pounds on me." I said, "That's that's unheard of." He said, "No, you got 100. That's what you asked for. Just what you're getting." I said, "You gotta be kidding, right? Do I look like I'm kidding?" "Hold on, man, it gets better." And so we go into the first run. I'm like, it shook me out of the car, just about. I pedaled it, and I think I wound up qualifying like 14th or 15th or something, and I won't forget it. It still gets better and better. And then now everybody's laughing at me because everybody knows the story. Everybody's done heard it. Okay, now, you know, the tiger's been biting everybody. Now they got the tiger by the tail, and the tiger knows they do. Now the tiger's worried. Boy says, "You got us now, Scotty. You know, your smart mouth is just, you bit off more than you chew this time." I'm like, "Man, I didn't know what to do. I promise I did not know what to do. I just didn't know. I couldn't get it to run. But it wasn't running but about 3 or 4 mile an hour slower than when I set the record. It still runs speed." I laid there at night, and I kept thinking, I said, "That thing's got to have power. That weight ain't hurt my car on speed. If anywhere, it should hurt it down there." And I just got to thinking common sense. I said, well, if it was a tractor, I'd put more gear in it. So I tried to find me the next Sunday morning. I'm up 7 o'clock. I'm at every pro stop trailer I can find. And back then I had a 71, I think, my car. I'm looking for an 88 or a 500, anything. I didn't care what it was. Couldn't find nothing. I think it was, I'll tell you exactly what it was. Their daddy's on a trucking company. Kurt. They run a Linko. All the pro stocks run the same one. They didn't run that light one back then. They run the heavy one. He said, "I got some gear ratios." I said, "Well, that thing's running speed." I said, "What you got?" And I come up with a gear ratio stupid. When me and Boyce built a transmission for a first round, straight to #1 again and set the record again. And won the race at the President's Cup. Now that's when things didn't go over real good. The old tiger got his little feathers put back up in. I was ready to fly again then. But I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't open my mouth no more. And this ain't no lie. I might have lied because they say, "How is that?" It hurt itself again. We had the valve covers and the heads off of it, whether it was hurt or not. Hey, because I'll tell you what, I wasn't wanting no more damn weight put on me. I could not stand it. I thought it put me out of business. They already had me up about 2,600 pounds.
Get back
Jack, here we go.
So you're trying to tell me in a calm down, easy kind of sort of way that you can go a lot quicker.
It's going into 50 this time, but the track can stand it because I'm going to let her rock.
All you did was restrip that supercharger.
That's right. We put old Betsy back on. I've been telling them, get that old... Did you say I beat up the rotors was? I'll skin up and tore up. I've had a bad day now if I can get down. I'm telling them, let's put off a 40 or
I was
something.
going to say, don't forget, this next pair here could be the drag race of all time.
Yeah, but I ain't a 10th behind no more. We can play ball, guys.